Hey YouTube, and anyone else this is relevant to. We're going to go over quickly crawl space encapsulations. So there's not a whole lot of guidelines on exactly how you go about doing this, but there is a right and wrong way to do it. As far as code requirements, in most places, when you run your plastic up the edge, you need to leave between 3 and 8 inches of space for termite inspection for trails along the block wall. So yeah, that's probably one of the more important things in seaming this all together. Grading's another big deal, and making sure the water is actually going to be removed from underneath of the plastic here. So we regraded this whole space. We had one segment over there that could not be graded enough to allow water to transfer down to our sump pump out down there. So we actually added a French drain that runs underneath here and straight back to the sump system. It has a culvert French drain that runs underneath of there. I believe it's a 4-inch pipe with slits all through it. It is a flex pipe. It's black. And then we added 2A gravel all around the pipe to allow better drainage into the pipe and to keep sediment out of the system as best as possible. Tapes that you want to use. So we have poly tape here. Any seam where 2 pieces of plastic meet up, we have poly taping. We used zip system flashing tape for the walls. You do need to clean the walls to get this stuff to stick well. I used an angle grinder with a wire wheel to really clean it up. Then I didn't see anything about anybody else doing this, but I used I don't even know if you can see it. They're plastic cap nails. They're for roofing. They're for putting down ice and water shield and tar paper. But I sent them into the grout seams. It's the only place you're going to be able to hammer nails into. Just to give it a little bit of extra hold power up on the wall. Probably one of the better options. I heard butyl tape is the stuff that most people use. I could not get that at any of my local suppliers, so I opted for this zip system flashing from Lowe's and cap nails, plastic cap nails. I also nailed underneath of the plastic to hold it up to help me run a continuous piece of tape across all of this. Let's see what else. I guess we'll just go over the sump system. So I added this drain line in. Before they had it plumbed into the sewer, which is a no-go. You're not allowed to do that. It is illegal, number one. Number two, if your sewer system ever backs up, that's the sewer pipe running right there underneath of the plastic and out of the wall. If it ever backs up, you will end up pumping out your sump into your toilets, your drains, your bathtub. It'll come out of any drain pipe anywhere if the system's backed up. So my pipe runs out this way. It has a nice slope to it. It's probably a 1/4 inch per foot across this run. Then it heads down this. This is a pretty steep run and out of the block wall, and it actually goes straight out underground over there. I will take another video of the outside so you can see what that looks like. But we've got, I think, about 70 feet of piping here. You do want to make sure that this is secure. I know I have straps down on this end, but we do have hangers, plastic hangers down here, as well as I secured up the sump down here to not allow it to shake. You do not want any shimmy or shake in your piping, or eventually it will fail. You will have a busted seam or a broken pipe or whatever have you. So the original sump basin in here was a basket, which, you know, no codes exactly for this stuff, but I don't trust a basket to do the job that this sump basin did. This sump basin, I believe, is maybe 3.5 foot deep. It was a deep pit I had to dig. Also on this location, it depends on your job, but we are very close to the bay. So we had issues with the water table being low, or high, I guess, as it were. The water table is only about 1.5 to 2 feet down at our location here. So what we did to accommodate that is I added these braces to kind of hold the basin in so it doesn't float, as well as I added 2 bags of 2A gravel in the bottom of that with a cinder block for the pump to sit on. So there is our French drain coming in. You can see it is actively running water in. Now this is groundwater that has been pouring out since we put this plastic up. It's all coming down to this point and sloping in this way. So yeah, that's going to be basic operations here. We cut the plastic short of the gravel in case any water does get on this. As you can see, there is some standing water, a little bit of drippage and whatever. We do have some water on the beams and stuff. This was all really wet when we came down here. I believe it is starting to dry out. A dehumidifier would be the best thing to do after you've done all this plastic wrapping. You can even, some guys remove all the insulation. They seal up the rim joists with insulation, and then they humidify and temperature control this space to a degree, which would give you a lot drier of a crawl space. But it's also a lot more expensive. You have to run your own circuit for the dehumidifier to run, as well as, you know, installing the dehumidifier, which they're about $1,000 for the unit itself, plus install fees. As far as the sump goes, this is a 3/4 horsepower pump. I bought the custom piping that comes with it, so it's coming out at 1.5 inches here. To a check valve. That black thing on the bottom there before that boot is a check valve to make sure water doesn't back trail back into the sump. I have a union here that I added for a quick disconnect if you need to service the pump or change it out for a different one. You can literally just buy a different pump, unscrew it from that fitting. It's a threaded fitting down there, and then reconnect this union and you will be good to go. After we get up to the top here, I transferred a 2-inch pipe. The reason I transferred to 2-inch pipe is when it goes out underground, I am not under the frost line. So we will talk about that a little bit more when I get outside, but this allows for more water to drain out of the pipe, less pressure in the pipe itself, and a lower chance of it actually freezing down the road. So that would be why we did that. I think that's pretty much about it for the crawl space. Make sure you wrap your pillars as well. And you should be leaving that space for termite inspection. Although, because I do have a center beam in this house, they will be able to check the beam itself for the dirt trails from the termites. I did find 2 dirt trails. This is what one of them would look like if you have termites. I don't know that this is an active system for these termites, but this is what you want to look for here. That right there, that stalagmite looking thing, those are all, you know, termite organics, them pulling the wood out and using it for trailing to get somewhere. There was one on the wall over there that I was concerned about, but we used roof flashing, this gray Henry's product, to actually seal that in behind the tape. So hopefully they don't make their way back up the wall. Customer will probably end up having a termite inspection at some point soon. And there you can see the nails that we tagged in there on the zip flashing. Some of them I tagged every other grout line. If I bent a nail or it didn't go all the way in, I would put one right next to it, in the grout right next to it. If you're running on a grout seam straight across, you have a lot of options for nailing. I think that happened in a few places for me over here. You want at least a foot of the plastic up on the walls. That will prevent any water from feeding through the block and getting on top of the plastic rather than underneath of it to drain how it is supposed to. I think that's it for underneath. I'll give you a short clip of out front about how that sump drain line comes out of the house. So this is going to be the outside. We've got our pop-up drain here, and this pipe runs straight back here into the house. You need to be at least 10 feet away from the house when you outlet with a sump pump. 20 feet is recommended. This was really our only option. This one's about 45 feet from the house, and it drains out into our drainage ditch here. This pipe is actually slightly lower at the base than this drainage system here. So we filled this with peat gravel. We also drilled 4 holes in the bottom of the pipe from about here to about here. underneath there to allow the water to drain out when the pump is not running. Like currently it's not running, so that'll allow it to drain into this gravel and into the surrounding ground, trying to prevent it from freezing. We probably are about 36 inches down about at that point, but this does downgrade. Now you do want to set this pipe to the proper height based on what you're going to do with gravel or whatever. Some people like to backfill in with grass and everything else, but as you can see, when this pump turns on, this grass is already washing out. You can see some of my stone has washed out. I set this drain higher because, oh, there it goes. So that's it turning on and running. And then it'll drain out into those holes in the bottom when it's not running. The customer wants this to be graded out after these two stumps are removed. This low point she wants to be raised up, and we recommend typically to do gravel at least in a ring around it, or for this case we're going to run gravel across the whole ditch here to make it look nice, uniform, and to give something for this pop-out drain to feed the water into that's not going to be able to move as much as the peat gravel. As you can already see, it's starting to wash away somewhat. So yeah, that's why this pipe is set higher. You would want to have that green outlet set at whatever ground level you have that you've decided to finish with, whether it's gravel or, you know, if you're going to go grass or you're going to go pond stone or whatever, what have you. You do want that to be flush with the ground. So that's why my pipe is a little bit out of the ground at this point, because we are going to fill this in more. So that's pretty much it, guys, for I guess crawl space basics, how you want to do it if you're going to do it yourself. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments, and thanks for watching.